Hello everyone, Martin here. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while I made some of the videos, so let's get to it. For today's video, I'm gonna show you a difference between AI assistants and AI agents. They sound similar, maybe even a little interchangeable, right? Well, that's actually a pretty key difference, especially when we start building things in the automation world. It can get a little confusing, but understanding the distinction is crucial for building powerful and efficient automations. So today we're going to break down exactly what separates an AI assistant from a true AI agent, and what better place to do that than right here in n8n. N8n visual node based approach makes it super easy to see the difference in how these systems are structured and how they make decisions. By the end of this video, you'll have a crystal clear understanding of which one to use and when. So let's dive in.
All right, let's start with the basics. Look at the visuals here. On the left, we have AI assistant. Think of these as your reliable specialist. They're excellent at routine, predictable tasks, like a Gmail in here, let's say. You give them an input, they follow predefined steps, a workflow you design, maybe using LLM for a specific part like summarizing text or generating content. And then they produce an output. In this case, they create draft for your email. The key thing here is that the logic and the sequence of actions are mostly defined outside the AI model itself, within the structure of your workflow. High reliability, great for straightforward automation. Now, on the right-hand side, we have AI agent. These are usually designed for more complex, less predictable situations. Agents have the ability to reason, plan, and adapt. The crucial difference an AI agent uses its underlying large language model, its brain, to autonomously decide the next steps within the agent's own logic. It can analyze the situation, maybe check its memory of past interactions, and then choose which tool or action is appropriate to achieve a goal. It's not just following the fixed path like in the first case, it is making decisions on the fly. So, big takeaway is where the decision making logic resides. Assistants, they follow logic defined by the workflow. Agents have decision making logic internally, allowing them to choose their path and tools. So, how does this look inside an n8n? Let's see the basic building blocks. For an AI assistant structure, the core is often something like this basic LLM chain node. Or even just a standalone LLM node like this open router chat model. So you feed it some input, it connects to an LLM. The LLM processes the text, maybe summarize, translate, generates, and spits out the result. If you want to interact with another service like sending an email after generating a text, you add the Gmail note in here. Send a message. Gonna fill that up. The LLM itself isn't deciding to use a Gmail. That overall workflow structure dictates how that workflow goes. Now, let's compare it to the AI agent node structure. AI agent node structure, it looks a little different, right? We still have a chat model, so use whatever language model you want. Well, look, we also have inputs for memory and tools. This AI agent node is the brain. When it receives a message, the connected LLM can access its memory. I'm going to use a simple memory. And look at the tools it has available. We're gonna choose Gmail tool in here. And it internally decide, okay, based on this request and what I do remember from my memory, or I need to use the send message tool, or maybe I don't need a tool, I can just answer directly. That decision happens inside this agent node, which then triggers the appropriate connected tool, which you can choose bunch of them in here. So let's make this a little more clear with a couple of real workflow examples. Check out this workflow. Free image generator using Gemini for prompts and 2 different free image generation APIs. Now, is this assistant or an agent? Let's trace the logic. It gets some input, maybe from the Airtable. It uses Google Gemini's chat node here, purely an assistant to generate a good image prompt based on the input. Then the workflow itself is hard-coded to send prompt to specific HTTP request node, which called image generation APIs, Flux or Gemini. After that, it processes the results, converts the base 64 images to binary files, merges them, and saves them to the Google Drive. You can see how it works. Boom, boom, boom. Workflow successful. And you got your image in a Google Drive. See, the Gemini LLM assisted by creating the prompt content, but it didn't decide which image API to call or what to do next. The workflow designer decided that sequence. It follows a predefined path that makes this a classic AI assistant workflow. Now, let's take a look at this ultimate assistant workflow. This one gets triggered by Telegram message. The message goes into assistant node, which is configured as an AI agent. Notice what's connected to the tools input of this agent node. We have nodes for drafting emails, getting emails, a calendar agent, another sub workflow acting as a tool, Tabili for web search, calculator, etc. When the ultimate assistant gets a request like, check my calendar for tomorrow and email Bob about our meeting, the LLM inside this agent node reasons. It understands it needs to perform multiple steps. It decides to first call the calendar agent to get a schedule. Then it decides to the draft email tool or maybe send email tool if available using the calendar info, and then it formulates the final response. It's dynamically choosing the sequence and the correct tool based purely on the natural language request and the tool it knows about. That makes it an AI agent.
So pros and cons when to use assistant or agent. It is more predictable and reliable outputs for specific tasks. It's often less expensive in terms of LLM tokens, and well, there's a less complex reasoning involved. Great for tasks where you know the exact sequence that is needed. On the other hand, cons, it's less flexible, can't easily handle unexpected requests or deviations from the designed path. Adding new capabilities usually means manually changing the workflow structure. It has a limited ability to plan or reason beyond the specific LLM task that is assigned. It is best for content creation, writing emails, blog posts, summarization, translation, simpler question and answer based on provided text, data formatting, tasks with a fixed and linear process. For the AI agents, you got a pros that they're highly flexible and adaptable. They can handle a wider range of complex and ambiguous requests. They can reason, they can plan and autonomously choose the best tool for the job from available options. It can potentially handle multiple step tasks requiring different tools in sequences. It is easier to add a new capabilities by just simply connecting another tool node. On the downside, they can be more complex to set up initially, defining tools, memory, potentially more complex prompting. Outputs can be less predictable as the agency is making its own decisions. And it can be more expensive in token usage due to the internal reasoning and planning steps. Also, debugging can be trickier, figuring out why the agent chooses a specific tool or path. They're generally best for building chatbots, complex research tasks requiring web search and data synthesis, personal assistance, managing multiple applications, email, calendar, tasks, automating processes where the exact steps might vary based on the input. So there you have it, the core difference between AI assistants and AI agents, especially clear when you see it laid out in the n8n. Assistants follow the path you set in the workflow, often using an LLM for a specific content task. An agent uses their internal LLM brain to decide the path and choose the right tools dynamically. Neither is inherently better. It all depends on the job you need done. Start simple with assistants for predictable tasks and move to agents when you need that flexibility, reasoning, and autonomous decision-making power. n8n gives you the power to build both. I hope this clears things up. Definitely play around with both the basic LLM nodes and the AI agent node in n8n to really get a feel for it. If you found this helpful, give that like button a tap. It really helps the channel out. Subscribe if you haven't already for more AI and automation content. and let me know down in the comments what kind of assistants or agents you're planning to build. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.